Hello, beautiful people. Happy birthday, Karen. Can you all hear me? Karen is not yet connected. There we go. Happy birthday, Karen. Can you hear us? Okay, so let's see. Jill, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Suzanne. Hello, Suzanne. Thank you for coming in. Mary. Mary is still connecting to her audio. Karen. Hi, Mary. Thank you so much for joining us.
Evening.
Karina is, we can't see her, but I think Karina is muted as well. First of all, a big thank you for turning up. And we felt that it would be appropriate because when we did the ceremony a couple of weeks ago, there wasn't any time to share any experiences or to give a chance to ask questions. So we thought it would be a wonderful opportunity for us to get together and maybe give an opportunity to just share how the ceremony was for you. And if it was your first time, anything really would be wonderful. And if you have any questions to ask us, that would be great. First of all, JC has been a little bit through the wind in the last couple of days. I think we all have been a little bit through the wind, and many of you may have listened to Joanne's message today. She has gone off grid as well. There's a lot going on, really a lot going on. And both Dan and myself, we have been fighting our own little battles in the last couple of weeks. And especially yesterday, it feels like really everything has been amping up. But very important is that we have tools, that we find ways to actually center ourselves, come back to our own inner self and not getting too much distracted along the way with what else goes on around us. Do you think that's a good idea? Okay, we are talking about Sacred Cacao. I'd just like to give a little bit of a background on my connection to Mother Cacao and my connection to plants and working with the spirits of plants in general. I've come from an Ayurvedic perspective, Ayurveda, traditional Indian medicine, which has been around for thousands of years. And in Ayurveda, the way how you connect with plants, the way how you understand the energetics of plants in a traditional way is that you basically sit with a plant and you meditate with that plant, and maybe you take the juice of it or you take the herb internally and then you go into meditation with it. And I like to share, when I was teaching in Japan many years ago, we ended up with an Ayurvedic doctor in a situation where we had no herbs because the herbs were stuck at customs and we needed to teach. And my teacher, I said to him, so what are we going to do? We have no herbs, nothing that we can basically utilize for our teachings. And he says, no problem. We will just go in the forest. And I had no idea what to actually expect. And as we walked through the forest, I saw him feeling drawn to particular herbs, to particular plants, and he was sitting down, he held the plants in his hand, and he was talking to the plants, and he was sharing that, okay, this plant, it can be used as a replacement for this Ayurvedic herb, and this plant can be used for that. And this was my first experience really to understand how to connect energetically with the plants. And that experience has sort of stuck with me for a very, very long time. And basically has led me to my first trips to the jungle, to the Amazon rainforest in Peru many, many years ago. And I am somebody, you may not know me that well, but I usually follow very much what my gut feeling tells me, very much. Most of the time I do follow. If I don't follow, I will pay for it in one way or the other. So at that time, and I never smoked, I've never taken any drugs. This is 2015 or 2016. But I was called to actually go to Peru and explore plant medicine. And when people think about Peru and shamanic work, mostly they think about ayahuasca, which is a plant that basically, in principle, thinnens the veil that helps us to see beyond the 3D existence. But it is much more than that. In actual fact, the first time, or actually in each of the journeys to the jungle, I was introduced to tobacco. So basically working with the tobacco plant, not in terms of smoking it, but basically using the plant as it is, preparing a herbal decoction, and then utilizing that, drinking that over a period of time with a certain intention in mind and sitting with the energetics of it. And my shamanic teacher, and I'm planning to do an interview with him in the next couple of months, which will be really, I'm looking forward to it on my YouTube channel. He didn't give me a lot of explanations. He just said, you need something to ground yourself. You need something to protect yourself and to cleanse. So I had no idea what I let myself into. So basically, I was on a minimal diet, and I was really sitting with this tobacco liquid and juice that I drank on an empty stomach pretty much in the morning and also later in the afternoon. 2 doses. There was only juices, fruit juices, actually vegetable juices at lunch, and a boring porridge in the evening. And as the days went on, you are just sitting there in your own quiet space in the middle of the jungle, and I could feel this kind of aversion against the medicine. I really didn't want to take it because it tasted horrible, and I really developed a resistance. And this is when the actual process of working with the tobacco started. So I could feel anger coming up. I could feel this frustration and resentment, plus the physical symptoms of feeling headachy. And the only thing that my shamanic teacher said to me, and he came and checked on all of us beautifully, so we were safe and protected. He said, just sit with it. Just sit with it and see what comes up and breathe through it. And I had no idea of how much of it made me realize about my own restrictions, my own understandings about health and well-being, and my rigid way of thinking of how it should be. And it really helped me to get into my physical body. There wasn't very much going on in my mind, but I really had to sit with the physical symptoms of it. And interestingly, as you go through the process, a physical cleanse can mean it could go either way, either moving up that way or coming out the other end. And I really struggled to letting go. That was the theme for me. So I sat with that for about 2 or 3 days, really struggling to let go. And there was a whole story around the issue with my father that came up, and who passed away at the time when I was in New Zealand and I couldn't be there. So all of that played its own course. And on the last day when I took the medicine, I knew that I will have to sit for another day with this discomfort. Maybe I created the scenario, I don't know. And only when the sun sets through the forest, when the candle basically burns down to nothing and disappears, then I'm able to let go. And literally, I'm not joking, after the end of the day, the sun was setting through the forest, the candle went out, and I was actually able to purge and to really let go of that. And since then, I have a very special connection, for example, with tobacco or with mapacho. And I had to make peace with it. I had to go beyond the taste, beyond the smell of the medicine, because it has been prepared with garlic and some other herbs to potensify the action of it. And when I say prepare the medicine, it can take up to sometimes 3-4 days to actually get the potency of the medicine out. And I'm aware of that process using Ayurvedic herbs. So in a similar way, I felt drawn to cacao. And actually only about 1 year or 1.5 years ago, this whole communication and conversation with cacao started, because I love chocolate, but I have never been a fan of Milka chocolate. Coming from Germany, we have got this Milka chocolate and the milk chocolate. I never liked milk chocolate. I always favored the darker chocolate. So the darker, the better. And of course, you can't really eat very much of that. And when I did my Ayurvedic training, it was all about, oh, you can't really have too much chocolate because it is a stimulant and it actually blocks your channels in the body. It can cause indigestion. So this was the story in the back of my head that I was used to, and the training that I had. But then, of course, nobody told me that it was only because of the additives that are added to the chocolate, the sugar that has been added to the chocolate. And basically, when we look at chocolate and taking chocolate, people very much think about the product that is available on the shelf. So I got used to 100% dark chocolate, and then I did my first journey with Sacred Cacao. And this is where I first really sort of, again, without any major expectations, sat with it. I prepared the medicine, and a lot of the way of how, and I'm quite honest here, of the way of how I use plant medicine, I use tobacco, I use cacao, has been basically intuitive, has been basically through understanding that came in my meditations. So exploring it within my meditation, listen to the intuitive feelings that might have come up in the process. So this is how I learned to work with it. And for me, whatever we do, there are 2 components, actually maybe 3 components that are crucial. And this is where I love my beautiful sisters, Joanne and JC, so much, because we all sing from the same song sheet. It's about creating a particular intention. So when you work with those medicines, when you work with cacao, it's all about what is the intention that you set yourself in the process. It is about, of course, protecting, because especially when you work with the energetics of plants, especially from a higher spiritual, I don't like to use the word spiritual, but fifth dimensional perspective, it's about protecting yourself because you open yourself up to the energetics of it. And we all know in the last couple of years how much we have been exposed to interferences that are beyond our understanding. I mean, for me, again, having done my soul center healing training and taking people through the hypnosis sessions, understanding the importance of clearing ourselves from any negative energies, protecting ourselves. So cacao is a wonderful way, because what it does take us directly to the gateway to our higher self. What is that gateway? It is our heart. It is through the heart energy that we are actually linking to our higher self. And when we talk about sacred cacao, again, it's not about any processed version of it. And there are several tribes around the world that actually plant or use the cacao in a very specific way, with the intention, with the sacredness that it actually deserves. So that's why when we said, when you work with sacred cacao, try to find a supplier that really respects those traditions, respect the ancient knowledge and wisdom of it. And with anything, when it becomes commercial, even when you go online and you search for sacred cacao, there's so many people that actually offer this now. But I always say, just be aware, do your own research, and feel into the energetics of the cacao that it is basically supplied, because it is dependent on the quality of the cacao. It is dependent on the ceremonial setting. So how do you prepare your space when you work with sacred cacao? It's about that space that can be safe for you, but it actually opens up a gateway to a higher connection, to the connection to your higher self, and to that which we cannot perceive with our mind, but which we can experience with our heart. And I feel each time I work with cacao, the energetics, the energy is so strong. And sometimes I get the vision of it, and how the spirit of Mother Cacao actually comes in a ceremony. Yes, you have experienced the drumming. Last time we did the circle, some of the chanting that has come through. We have done a beautiful light code activation with Joanne, and she has had this wonderful download of her vocal expression of bringing the energetics of the cacao in. All of these are crutches that help us to connect on a deeper level. But in essence, we don't need anything. We just need to sit within ourselves in our own quiet space. And I personally, how shall I put this without getting myself into trouble? You can see a lot of circles that promote the cacao ceremonies with a lot of tam-tam, let's put it that way, like dancing, DJ, and basically community spirit. Yes, that's true. But for me, coming from the perspective of consciousness, tapping into my own consciousness, finding my own interpretation of how I can relate to that much stronger, because we can get distracted when we, for example, are in a circle and we dance around, or we bring in music that may take us away from going within, rather than keeps us focused on the outside. I don't know. Does that make sense? I hope I didn't offend anybody here. So this is basically where I am coming from. But enough of me talking. It would be lovely to hear from you how your journey started. Why did you join the Cacao Circle? And what were your experiences, or any questions that you have? Because we actually accept our beautiful chat group where we had so many beautiful comments and the sharing. We haven't really had the chance to reflect on it. So maybe, if you don't mind, we can start with, let's say, who feels called to go first. It's just a small group here. We will put the video live tomorrow on YouTube so other people can get a chance to watch it. But if you feel drawn, it would be lovely to hear anything that you wish to share or ask. Yeah, who would like to come in? Shall I just start somewhere? Jill, would you mind unmuting yourself?
Hi, can you hear
Hi,
me?
Jill.
Hi,
Yes.
Thomas. Nice to meet
Hi.
you.
Nice to meet
Hi.
you.
It was my first time doing the ceremony the
Yes.
other week. I didn't have any expectations. I wasn't really sure what was going to happen or anything. And I'm not sure anything did happen for me afterwards. I was very calm and light and peaceful. I did feel really serene afterwards. And I think if I remember, the following couple of days, I did start to feel a little bit emotional about things,
Yes.
but
Yes.
I have been like that for weeks as well, with
Yes.
different things. So yeah, I don't know.
Did you
Is this
set
normal?
yourself, did you set yourself a question, any inquiry before?
Yeah, I did an intention of things. I followed like your instructions and things and
Yes.
everything that I wanted to do. And I prepared a nice space, a sacred space.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah. And I made all the mixture with the music and everything that Joanna sent. Yeah, no, I think I enjoyed the whole ceremony. It was lovely. It was beautiful. I felt at the time everything. Yeah, really nice and serene and everything. But I didn't. Maybe I was expecting I should have something afterwards. I don't know.
Yes, of course, expectations can get in the way, but
Yeah.
I like to encourage you and say that it's with anything that we do. It's like repetition helps us diving deeper. And you may not have experienced consciously shift and change or anything that has been clearing, but it might be in a very subtle way. And that's the beauty of what I call Mama Cacao. She can come in quite forcefully and quite strongly in a beautiful, loving kindness kind of way.
Okay.
But maybe what you needed exactly was that gentle kind of being carried through the process.
Yeah.
So it is about, when we go into these spaces, I find it always, it is about trusting that we will experience exactly what we are meant to experience. And of course, our expectations often can get in the way,
Yeah. Yeah, maybe afterwards I was expecting to think. Is there any way that you could do it wrong during myself?
No.
Do it wrong? No, it's
No,
not. Okay.
absolutely not.
Because I lost some of the sound, and then I'd started drinking the
No.
drink before I was supposed to, and I thought,
No,
oh no.
no.
Okay.
It was quite funny because you probably haven't noticed, and I hope, Dan, you don't mind me sharing this. We were really sort of behind the scenes because we had to navigate and to juggle so many different things. And with Zoom, it is not easy when you add sound to it because it can get distorted, and we wanted to make the experience as beautiful as possible. So
Yeah.
Dan and myself behind the scenes were really sort of juggling by changing the setting on Zoom. And the funny bit was, at some stage, I asked Dan to go and get the cacao. So I prepared everything in the kitchen, and I had the jug ready, and I had the hot water everywhere to warm up the cups. So he came back in the room, and guess what? I was pouring out, and he thought the hot water that I kept in the jug was already the cacao. So actually, poor Dan, he had to rush down again in the kitchen and actually change the water and put the cacao in. So, and I had to laugh because basically what that was teaching us, or what Mama Cacao was saying, have fun with it and don't be so serious.
Oh,
So
okay.
definitely play with it, Jill. If you choose to join us again, just play with it and get into your heart space. And whatever happens, it just needs to happen. But I can reassure you, as you go through this a bit more often, you dive deeper. It's with any kind of practice, any meditation practice. So it would be wonderful to hear your second journey. And what I want to say is each journey is different. Each journey very much can be different. It's very likely to be different.
And is it like you saying it? Sorry, can I ask? Is it
Yes.
connecting to your higher self?
Yes.
Is that me? Yeah.
That's why we went really through the grounding and the protecting, and through the heart center, which was really beautifully also illustrated through JC's drawing, the beautiful heart and the heart space. Through our heart center, we have the connection to our higher self, to true source creator itself. And my intention is that I let myself being guided through the process as we go through the ceremony. I'm not following in the script. It could be that maybe we will have a very quiet ceremony where we don't have too much of this drumming or chanting or whatever. So I just trust myself that with each journey that we do, it will be exactly required. It will be exactly that what we need. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I thought it was beautiful. It was a lovely ceremony. I really loved it. Yeah, so thank you for that. And I hope to join the one next week on the 25th. So.
Wonderful. Just to be clear, because we don't want to put out wrong information, we have given JC and Joanne the option to join us. They have said if they feel like occasionally they will pop in, but it will be mainly Dan and myself guiding us through the journey next time.
Right. Okay.
So thank you,
Perfect.
Jill.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Karen, can we come to you? Happy birthday.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Oh, thank you very much. Much appreciated for your wishes today, by the way.
How was your day? Have you had a good day?
I was working. I've been up since 3 a.m. UK time. The cats have been basically a thorn in my side, so I will be going to bed after this sort of like interview, to be honest with you.
Wonderful.
So it's been the most quietest birthday I've ever had.
in a way, it can be quite healing. Don't you find that?
Yes, without a doubt.
You know
Without a doubt.
what my grandmother always used to say? She always used to say to me, you know, there is the day before your birthday, on your birthday, and the day after. You will have all the angels around you that were there at your time of birth. So you
Yes.
sit with the angels and you ask them what you wish to happen in the year coming. So that quiet space, and you still have tonight and tomorrow to communicate to the angels that were there at your time of birth to help you, yeah, fulfill and achieve what you set yourself out to achieve.
Yes. So it'll be as I said, after this interview, I will be going to bed shortly because I'll be up at 3 a.m. again. And yes, so after the cacao ceremony, nothing happened per se in an instant with myself. But last week, I was lying in bed and out of the bolt, my third eye just sort of like protruded out,
Mm-hmm.
and I was getting colds. I was seeing in my eyes were closed,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw within my third eye. It's like, have you ever seen the Matrix movie? You got that wee grid coming down.
Yes, yes,
I
yes.
got that in my third eye. As I said, my eyes were closed, and I had sort of like codes coming through, and
Mm-hmm.
I had numbers coming through,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like this sounds probably stupid, like a remote control, and there was numbers on the remote control, and every time the remote control was pressed, there was numbers just flashing through my eyes, and I was like, whoa, what's happening here?
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't a dream. I was sort of like lucid,
Mm-hmm.
and basically, next minute the cats woke me up, and I thought, what the heavens is happening here? Like, so obviously it's probably a download of some sort or whatever have you. And that's the first time that's ever happened to me. But that was
It,
happened after the cacao ceremony. That was like maybe 2-3 days after that.
yes,
And
yes.
I thought, whoa, this is amazing.
Yeah, that's really good. I mean, what I sense is it could be very much an upgrade. So the numbers very often, well, are of course linked to sacred geometry. It is linked
Hmm.
to upgrades that might be or might have happened physiologically, spiritually, energetically, and that you have actually been able to tap into. So probably in preparation for your next journey with cacao would be to sort of have that intention when you go to bed. What is the meaning behind that, if you
Yeah.
choose to, or why was I or have I been shown this, or in general, just ask for the energy of Mama Cacao to come through. And sadly, Mel cannot be here tonight, but she said she only had two ceremonies so far. We had one here during the retreat and one that we did online. And she
Hmm.
said since then, the spirit, the energy of cacao is always there. So it would be, if you feel called to, maybe just have a conversation. And that could also be useful for Jill when you do your day-to-day practice, your spiritual hygiene regime. Just sit and say, okay, we are moving again towards another ceremony. What is it that I need to know? So have a communication and a conversation, because it's all about what is our intention, how open we are to actually understand and
Hmm.
to receive. I don't know if that makes any sense, Karen.
Yes, it certainly does. Yes. Yeah. And also, what's the best form of meditation? I normally do the candle work, sort of like looking at a candle and sitting there in meditation and holding
Mhm.
the hand on the heart.
Mhm.
So what's your form of the best meditation,
That's
basically to get things coming through?
that's very, very good question. And sadly, there's not a straightforward answer. So I do run, as you may know, a Monday meditation group. Every Monday we meet, and I teach various practices of meditation. The Trataka meditation or candle gazing meditation is one aspect of how you can uh, one way of how you can connect and go inwards, but there are so many different processes. For example, I also am a strong advocate of using breath work prior to meditation. I also teach certain mudras or finger positions that help realign your energetic body that supports any meditation. But definitely, if you feel Trataka meditation or candle gazing is something that works for you, please, absolutely. There are no right and wrongs. I don't believe in a dogmatic way of this is the only meditation that helps you to achieve whatever you wish to achieve. I mean, personally, I have been meditating since 1988, pretty much on a daily basis. I have a mantra meditation, a personalized mantra that I use, and I teach people to get a personalized sound, basically, and the technique of how to sit with that, and they can explore that and can be layered with the finger positions, with certain breath work. We do explore sound meditations on Monday. We do visualization practices. And if you choose to join the meditation group, you will have access to all the recordings of all the meditations. Dan, I think we have done how many weeks? 22 weeks. So 22 recordings would be available for you to go through and explore and find what works for you, you know?
Yeah.
Does that
And
answer
also,
your
yeah,
answer?
yes. Do you also have meditation with tuning forks?
I use the singing bowls. I do have the tuning forms here,
Yes.
but also I forgot to mention, I will be also offering the possibility of setting up the group on the Healy device when we do the cacao ceremony next week. And I found, or people have said when I use it for the Monday meditation group, it has really made a big difference, because on an energetic level, on a quantum field level, if you choose to open yourself up to receiving those frequencies, that can help deepen your practice and take your experiences onto another level, if that is what is actually required, or that what is good for you at this particular moment in time.
Yes, I understand that. And also, how long do you meditate on a daily basis? Is it could be a minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour a day, or whatever?
Okay. So again, there is no straightforward answer, but personally, I would say if you get a routine, I shouldn't say routine. Routine is rigid. If you get a rhythm, if you find a rhythm in your practice, I believe about half an hour or 20 minutes will be a good practice to do. And this is what Joanne always says pretty much on all of her videos: ground, cleanse, protect, and then go into meditation practice. And it can just be the ground, cleanse, protect bit can just be a couple of minutes, and then find a practice that works for you. But it is, Karen, important that you find your own rhythm rather than saying, okay, this is a routine, you have to do it this way. Find your rhythm, because then you are much more likely to stick to the regime that works for you, rather than anybody telling you this is what you have to do. So that was the intention why we have the Monday meditation group. because I want to introduce different practices, and then people can, during the week, can actually say, oh, actually, I like to explore this much more. I really like the meditation when we work with singing bowls or with sound or frequencies. So you can find your own, you find your own tools and put your own toolkit together. It's all becoming self-sufficient. What works for you? The only thing that we do is we just give you a selection of tools, and then what
Okay.
resonates with you and what
Okay.
doesn't resonate, it's fine.
Much appreciated, by the way, Thomas, for your words of wisdom, and for yourself and Dan for the birthday wishes today. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
We just had such a challenging day today, and we were speaking to JC, and I'm sure she wouldn't, she doesn't mind sharing it. And she said, oh, I just get irritated by everybody who crosses my path today. And both Dan and myself, we were laughing in a way because we had quite a rough morning. And you can feel as soon as we build up our energetic body, build up the frequencies, you really get hit from all the different angles. And it was also getting at the stage where we started to argue with each other until we said, look, what's happening here? They're trying to just get in between us. And that's how we lower our frequencies and make ourselves vulnerable. So I'm not sure why did I say it. What was the comment that you made, Karen? Sorry.
I said I really appreciate everything,
yes.
the birthday messages that yourself and Dan basically put out for me today. I really appreciate it. And also that I think you guys are basically on the right path to helping everybody spiritually. And I am so grateful for JCK for basically showing the path to get us onto the likes of yourself, Thomas, and to yourself, Dan, because you're a beacon of light for everybody else that needs to be out there to basically find their own path in life. And you two guys, as well as JCK and as well as Joanne, are helping us and humanity to shine our light out so brightly. It's unreal. So from my heart to yours, I love you so much.
That's so beautiful. Thank you so much, Karen. That really is very touching, very touching. Because sometimes I'm just speaking for myself, I forget why I'm doing this. And because for me, it's like, I am just who I am. There's nothing, I don't think there's anything special about what I do, but I'm just sharing my journey over 35 years. And as I keep repeating, it doesn't necessarily get easier. And that's the good news and the bad news. The good news is that we are being challenged more to actually expand further and to really dive deeper into the reality that has been hidden from us for such a long time. But as we grow on this path, the path becomes more narrow. There's less and less oxygen, but the view becomes so much more expansive and beautiful. And we have to hold each other's hand. And, and I haven't got it figured out. None of us have got it figured out. We just take every day as it comes and we do our very best. And it's so beautiful to have such a strong community where we can just come together and remind each other, and it's okay to have, excuse me, a shitty day. And as you keep working with cacao, you will feel the compassion coming into your heart. We will be able to understand those tricky situations in a much better way. And we will be able to navigate ourselves through those challenging phases in a much better way. And this is where Cacao comes in. This is where Mama Cacao comes in, because she is the mother. And actually, if you look at it, I think the botanical name of cacao, if I remember correctly, is Theobrome cacao, which basically means the food of the gods, you know, or in the Mayan tradition, it basically translates into opening of the heart. So this is what it does. And that's the energy that is needed today, heart-centered energy. So thank you so much, Karen and Jill. What about Mary? Mary, would you like to say hello?
Good evening.
Hello. I like that turquoise on you. Turquoise is one of my favorite colors. It always reminds me of dolphins. Happiness and joy and playfulness.
Yes, it's my favorite color as well. After the ceremony, maybe a couple of days after that, I had a really nice dream. I had a dream of flying, and I don't remember having that kind of dream before. I went to an old house, and there was a steep hill beside this old house, and instead of walking up the hill, I just jumped up into the air and just viewed it from above, and it was lovely, and I really, really enjoyed it. And then I remember having been up high previously, and I jumped down. It was as if I had hydraulic legs, you know, I could jump down and my legs didn't break, you know. It reminded me of that, but it was a wonderful feeling of being able to fly. It was just wonderful. And I've had a kind of shitty week since last week. I was ill in my bed, and I'm a person that's never ill, and I was in my bed, and I'm just in the house myself, and I was choking, and oh dear, it was a bit of an anxious time, you know. But it's all released now. But it was, and I'm still in quite an emotional space yet, you know.
We hear you, and it's so many people, I mean, in so many different ways. As the frequencies change, as the vibration changes, we go through so many upheavals, and some experience it more physically, others emotionally or mentally, going around in loops. I find myself going around in loops and trying to break that pattern. That's why we are here, to just sort of hold each other's hand and support each other, you know.
Yes.
But what a wonderful experience with cacao. It would be interesting to see where the next journey takes you. And like I said before, just go in with no expectations and just allow for whatever you need to experience to transpire.
I'm not very good at the meditation malarkey. I'm kind of rubbish at that, you know. I haven't got a pattern of meditation every day, you know.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many different ways. Like, for example, sometimes when I remember, when I sort of have a bit of a day where I feel like I'm not centered at all, I feel totally all over the place. When I go into the town or I go shopping, I just do the following: love, peace, unity. So as I walk through the streets, in my mind, I just repeat those three words: love, peace, unity. And it's just amazing how my environment reacts to that. People are all of a sudden smiling at you. People are more friendly, but really do it in a conscious way. So initially, I need to remind myself, like, with each step I take, love, peace, unity. And then the mantra keeps running in the back of your head. Try it, you know. It doesn't necessarily mean meditation, sitting down in lotus position, closing your eyes, and that's not necessarily the case. Of course, if you choose, if you feel comfortable, it's wonderful to do it, but there's so many ways of how you can explore that journey. I hope this helps, Mary.
Thank you very much, and thank you for being there. Thank you.
Wonderful. Now, Dan, we are sitting in the same room, so I'm going to mute myself. And Dan, would you like to just, how has your journey been with cacao?
Hi, everybody. Hope you can hear me all right. I'm someone who also gets stuck in these like thought loops, and I find I'm often very harsh with myself. So what I love about doing a cacao ceremony is that it gets me in touch with empathy for myself. And then by extension, that empathy for myself becomes empathy for people in the world around me. So that's what I generally experience when I do a cacao ceremony. Of course, I love all the pomp and circumstance of Thomas's performances with the singing bowls and the drumming and the channeling, and that's wonderful. But as Thomas said, you don't need that to get in touch with the spirit of Mama Cacao. I remember we did a very quiet cacao ceremony, just the two of us. And initially I thought nothing was happening. And then about an hour later, we were sitting on the sofa together. And I just remember feeling the most incredible peace. And it wasn't that my head was empty of thoughts, but I just felt so at ease with myself. And it was such a lovely feeling. So I suppose for me also, I don't get generally images or dreams or that kind of thing after a cacao ceremony, but I find that memory of the energy of the empathy stays with me. And then I can kind of tell myself, you're all right. When I'm feeling stressed, I can remember that sensation. So that's generally how it goes for me.
Great. Thank you, Dan, for sharing. I think it's good that we just had a little get together. So it was nice to get to hear Jill, Karen, Mary, and I think it was it Georgie or Georgia who had to leave a bit earlier. So thank you so much for joining in and for coming. And please do use the Telegram group if you have any questions or anything that pops in your mind. I try as much as possible, or we try to answer questions that are there. So Dan, sorry, what did you say?
I just wanted to let people know who are watching this on YouTube to have a look in the description, because there are links in there to get a ticket for the next cacao ceremony on the 25th of October at 6 p.m. UK time. So you can either buy a one-off ticket or you can save 25% by joining our monthly cacao circle. And also, if you missed the ceremony on I think it was the 23rd of September, you can also purchase the recording to keep forever. So all the links will be in the description, and I'll post them in the Zoom chat as well. Thank you.
Wonderful. I just like to express my gratitude to my darling sisters, Joanne and JC. It was actually Joanne and JC, mainly Joanne said, who actually pushed me or pushed us to do an online ceremony. So I'm very, very grateful. And both of them, Joanne and JC, it was just undescribable to have both of them here in our space and to do the beautiful retreat that we had for 2.5 days. They're just like so special, and I've got so much love and admiration for them and the battles that each one of them goes through. And just sort of, Jessie said to me the other day, she said like, the only thing that we have to do is we just have to focus on helping others to help themselves. So the only thing that we have to focus on is basically be there to help others, to help themselves. And I'm really, really, really grateful that our paths have crossed. And of course, everybody else who is here and everybody else who chooses to watch it on our channel. So thank you very much. Have a lovely evening and sweet dreams. And Karen, don't forget to talk to your angels. Ciao, ciao, and hope to see you on the 25th. Bye.